Welcome to Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast, episode number 189. I'm your host, Jeff Halash. I'm joined today by Ian Alexander from REPAIRTECH and the rest of his team. Yes, this is an exclusive, ladies and gentlemen. We have the whole REPAIRTECH team. And what I'm going to do is, since I don't know everybody on the team, I'm going to have Ian introduce each and every member of the team, and then they can tell you what they do inside of REPAIRTECH. So, Ian, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. All right, so thanks for having us on, Jeff.
No problem. It's great to have you guys. I love to see the teams working together and see what's going on behind the scenes that most people don't know because, you know, they only see Ian's beautiful face every once in a while. I guess he's the spokesperson. I don't know, but you know, so a lot of people like to see what goes on behind closed doors, so to speak, with all the background stuff, coding, and all that. So,
cool.
Ian, if you
I have most of the team here, so I'll just kind of introduce you, and they can tell you a little bit about what they do.
Awesome.
Let's start with Michael, since he's on another screen. Michael, you want to tell them about what you do?
Yeah, sure thing. I do the majority of our support, and I do sales-related things. So I write a lot of emails to our users and potential users and talk to people on the phone. And usually that involves communicating with the team a lot, finding out what's going on, especially the dev team. So I learn what's going on, and then I tell everybody about it.
Very cool.
Yeah, if there's stuff that you don't like about our software, Michael's the one to tell.
Right. I know all kinds of things, and I've heard all kinds of opinions, all the good and all the bad.
Cool. Let's start with Justin.
All right.
Go ahead, Justin.
I'm a software developer. I mostly work on Tech Portal and Tech Suite, but I do occasionally work on Kabuto.
Awesome.
And
My name's
Max,
and I head up marketing, so I pester you with emails and try to get you to try our software, and then I dabble in design and some business development as well.
Awesome.
Garrett, I do the Windows development for both products and talk to most of the customers on the forums or sometimes via tickets with Michael.
Hi, I'm Connor, and I'm the product manager. So I spend a lot of my time talking with customers, asking them what they want to see in the products. Spend a little bit of time trying to make the UI look halfway decent, and work with the dev team to make sure that what the customer wants is what ends up getting built, and of course all the work in between trying to figure out what's actually going to work right. So it's fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm Eric. I'm another developer, mostly working on the Kabuto web dashboard. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've been working on lately.
Busy, sure.
Yeah, it's definitely keeping me busy.
I was going to say that's like a full-time job.
Yeah.
it's pretty much three people's full-time jobs.
Yeah.
So how many of you, before this episode here, how many of you have been on a video webcast that goes out to, thousands of people a month?
I think we did this once before a year and a half ago or something with some of us, right?
We did one with the team.
Yeah. So
we've all kind of done it, but not on a podcast. We kind of did our own Meet the Team hangout.
Okay. Very cool. Well, I'm excited to have you guys come on the show and just talk about some of the things you do, maybe some of the directions you're going. Yeah, feel free to ask me any questions. For some people, for some reason, people love to hear about me. I don't know why. Not that exciting, but it's. I just wanted to bring you guys together as a team because a lot of times we see Ian and him and I have great conversation, but I wanted to meet everybody else and just see what you guys see as far as the future of the products you're working on with TechWaru and the whole Tech Suite and Kabuto and all that kind of stuff, because you guys really have went gangbusters with this whole Kabuto thing and really brought the residential side of managed services to a much different level than anybody else has at this point. And part of the reason I see that you guys have done it is because you keep it simple and you keep it understandable. So yeah, definitely appreciate that. There's a lot of cool things that are being worked on that make our lives easier as technicians to be able to support residentials. And when I say that, I've heard from other podcasts that residential support is kind of going by the wayside, because as you guys probably hear talking to different technicians in computer businesses, everybody will say, hey, I'm giving up the break fix, I'm moving to managed services, and I'm gonna leave the residential customers behind. So what I'm hearing, and I'm hearing this, and you guys can tell me if this is true or not, in places like California, several places, I've heard people say that, hey, if they want to get their computer fixed, it's hard to go to the single technician anymore, depending on where you live. A lot of times, you might have to go to a big box store to get your stuff worked on, or to get any type of support. And we know how hard that is sometimes, when they might have your computer for weeks on end or whatever, and it's very frustrating. So I think a lot of people that are saying they're leaving the break fix behind really are doing a disservice altogether to the industry, I think. Just because those people, residential people, need that same support. And so anyways, those are my thoughts, but definitely appreciate the products you guys are bringing in.
Sure thing. Yeah, I can weigh in on that for sure. And I think that's something that's kind of directed our company from the beginning, is we've always been trying to solve the problem of manually repairing a computer. That was the initial problem we wanted to solve, but then it's grown into supporting the computer repair technician, which is a significant component of the industry, and we want to make sure that they're empowered to do what they do and do it efficiently. And it's funny that you say that about shops deciding that they don't want to support residential clients, because that's kind of contrary to their complaint about the big box store, where it's like, oh, well, Best Buy is taking all my business. It's like, well, now you're saying you don't even want that business, so they're going to have to go to Best Buy. So we want to supply them with the kind of arsenal to keep up with their mission and grow their business, and make sure that they remain competitive. And that's definitely the direction we're heading with Kabuto, and then also with TechSuite and the integration of both of them to give the technician, a competitive edge as the industry changes.
Yeah, I think also that's in California maybe not as much of an issue, maybe parts of California, but in large cities you kind of have the ability to choose your business model because there's a lot of people, but people who live in more rural areas maybe can't go the MSP route. So it really just depends on the demographic in your area. So we definitely want to make sure that you have the ability to support the residential people, because like you said, a lot of people are trying to switch, even though that's not necessarily what they should be doing.
Right. Well, and the problem is, I think, is they hear a lot of the bigger companies out there talk about switching, and this is what you've got to do, and here's the next greatest iteration of things that you need to do in order to grow your business. And it's like anything else, and you guys can probably attest to this too, is that there are many different ways to grow your business. You have to pick your niche, or your niche if you're from Canada, to figure out what it is you're good at, what it is you actually want to do without being too frustrated, and what's going to make you money and make you a decent living. And I think a lot of times people would just go, hey, we're gonna take this way of doing business, and we're gonna do it this way, and if it doesn't work, we're done, we're out, we're gonna move on to something else. And I think that's sad that and the other thing too is, you guys, from what I can see, you've stayed in the trenches with the technicians like myself and others out there in the small businesses, and been able to help people from that standpoint, where a lot of people will go, you know what, you guys just don't do enough business for me to deal with you, and so we're not going to give you the time of day. In which I think is number one, a great disservice, and I'm not going to point any fingers, but I think people would be able to. I look at it like this: there's a lot of, I believe this. There's a lot more of us out there than there are the bigger, larger companies, and so with that, I think you've got a lot of market share that you can keep a hold of and actually support over time.
Yeah, I would say that's kind of why we have Connor doing what he's doing, because it's really important for us to understand what all the technicians want, because there are a lot of different types of businesses that they're operating. And Connor, basically, his full-time job is basically to talk to techs and understand exactly what they want, and then you can talk about it.
Well, I mean, you kind of, you hit the nail on the head approach already, but yeah, like we want to find the sweet spot of what technicians want, what they need, and sometimes the latter isn't exactly known very clearly. With Kabuto, like as a small origin story, that was a suggestion from a customer. It started off as that, and it was a really, really rough idea. And basically, they just wanted a way to kind of bring back some business to their shop, and that was the very beginning of it. And obviously, that was kind of, I guess, the free version of Kabuto that we ended up releasing. But that kind of iteration, that kind of like working with technicians to try and actually tease out what you need and what you want, and trying to meld those two together into something that works well. It's definitely something that takes a lot of time, and it's not just me doing it. It's everybody here. I mean, Michael spends tons of time on the phone. Ian spends tons of time on the phone, so it's Max. So yeah, kind of a, I guess, collaborative effort. But regardless, yeah, it's something that we're definitely committed to, and we want to keep doing that.
I'll be honest with you. I'll be perfectly honest. I was skeptical when Ian first told me about the whole Project Kabuto and kind of brought it up. I'm like, really? I'm like, is that the direction you want to go? Is that, really? And it didn't make sense to me at first, because again, what I end up seeing is a lot of the players out there already are leaving most of us behind and going, yeah, your revenue doesn't amount to squat. And again, you guys have brought it back to a point. Now, I do have a technological question that's been burning in my mind. Now, most RMM tools of any sort, and whether you guys call yours an RMM or not, it doesn't really matter, but most of them will do Windows patch management. And there's a lot that won't actually do third-party patch management. Now, somehow, the miracles that be, I don't know, but you guys actually did the third-party patch management before you went to the Windows patch management. And I always wondered, was that an easy task to get the third-party patch management? And it seems like you guys are still adding things to that are going to help support the residential customers, or even, for that matter, a lot of businesses.
I think, yeah.
Windows is coming soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, a multiple part question. 2 parts. 2 parts, exactly. Third party app is one part. No, so yeah, we kind of had both going at the same time. Because I'm the only Windows developer, sometimes if I'm waiting for something on the web end, I'll start working on something in advance, just to have it ready if we want to touch it later. So when we started working on just getting extended monitoring data in Kabuto, I started working on gathering Windows update data, which we ended up not using at the time, but then I had it for later. So Windows patch management is something that we want to do soon, something that we're working on, but then the direction that we were going with monitoring let us go right into third-party app management. Since we had just released a feature that dealt with third-party apps, we thought, like, we're already here, let's just get this part done. So it kind of just, basically customers talked to Connor, they wanted more data on the apps that were installed, the startup applications, the services, and so we did that, and then we were there, and we were like, well, why don't we just do the app management now, and we'll come back to Windows after. So they kind of all work at once, and so there wasn't really like a reason why we picked third-party management first. It just happened to be that customers wanted that data, and we were like, let's just do that next.
Yeah. But I think the part that Garrett missed there is that we do have a really gifted developer team. So that I think right, and I mean it would be improper, I think, for you to say that about yourself. We'd have words afterwards, but it is true, and I think it's definitely kind of unique, I guess, to have such an effective team at this size. We aren't huge. We don't have 50 guys working for us. We don't have people all around the world working 24. Well, we have one. We have one more developer.
Yeah, we're missing one person. He's in Japan. Yeah. So we're worldwide.
We're worldwide. But regardless, we do have a small team, but it's remarkable how effective it's been, and we're a little surprised, pleasantly, of course, at the ability to maintain 2 products at the same time with what 4.5 developers.
I think it's because Garrett doesn't sleep.
Sure, yeah. So really we have 7 developers, but regardless, but it's definitely been challenging, the keeping up with everything, and on top of that, the third-party app management was that was something definitely new. But
I mean, the difficult thing, like you pointed out earlier, is keeping it simple, right? It's kind of interesting. When we started out, it was very easy to keep it simple because we didn't have a whole lot in there. And then as customers wanted more and more features, as is there, right? We had to figure out. It used to be like, oh, we'll just put this thing on the page. It's easy. And then now it just every time we add something, we have to spend a lot of time making sure that we don't overcomplicate it, because that, I think, is a pitfall that other similar solutions have fallen into over time. It's just
there's different solutions for different types of businesses or different types of scenarios, and that's fine. But the overcomplication, and I've said this often, and I'll say it again, is learning software from the user standpoint sucks. And I don't really care how simple it is. There's always a bit of a learning curve, regardless. And so the simpler you can keep it, the faster I can learn it and actually use it and implement it, and not go, yeah, I think that'll work in my business, but I just don't have time to test it and get around to working with it yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes me think of a certain product that I won't name, but it starts with a K and rhymes with a say. First time I saw that, I was blown away at how gargantuan and incomprehensible it was. So we're proud about Kabuto that has the opposite effect.
Still starts with a K.
Yeah.
I know where you were going with that at first. I was like, no. What are you doing?
I mean, the other interesting thing, though, about user experience is oftentimes we release stuff at night to test it out and make sure it's not going to break anything or affect too many people if there happens to be a problem, and we'll have it set so that the documentation will get posted the next day and the announcement will go out the next day, and then I'll wake up in the morning and like a dozen customers have already noticed it and then asked a question on how it worked, then figured it out on their own and responded like as such. It cracks me up every time because they always figure it out before I can even answer. It's like the tech tinkerers, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's cool too. You guys have always had since the beginning the tech portal where you can go in, you can get your reports, you can obviously get a link to our show, which is cool. But there's a lot of things that a lot of information and stuff that you can get in there that I don't know. I mean, from what you guys are seeing, are a lot of people taking advantage of noticing that information and actually using it to their benefit? Is it? It seems like it's a benefit to anybody that would use it.
I think it depends what kind of information you're talking about.
It has a little bit for everyone. Not everyone uses all of it. Some people really like the reports. Some people like the bench. Some people like just managing their technicians. If you're an admin, there's some people that use all of it, but I think there's just something for each kind of shop in there.
There are certain things that are used way more than others. I think Connor did a study on this recently. It was like reports. The report page was the highest used thing, right?
Yeah, the report page was the highest on the bench. This actually came from initially a survey that I sent out, asked folks what they thought was valuable, and reports was at the top. We kind of hoped that was the case. That's
right.
Of Tech Portal, and then on the bench came next, which was really nice because that was a really old feature request that was definitely some new work for us at the time, and we think it came out pretty nice. So that came next, and then everything else after that, kind of tapered off, of course, in value. And what we noticed from that was that the larger shops seemed to really value the account management and configuration abilities within Tech Portal, and then the smaller shops, they saved more focus on the bench, reporting, and the ability to launch remote executable and things like that. And there's a few other things in there too that weren't measured with this survey, like tech news and features like that are kind of like off to the side and lower value no one's going to pay for tech news.
For sure,
Right.
tech news is our oldest feature at this point. It's been there since the very beginning.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Garrett many times has wanted to get rid of it. That's why he says it like that.
I voiced that opinion on occasion.
You know what's interesting about the whole tech news thing, though? Okay, so think about all the information we're bombarded with on a daily basis, and you're going into the tech portal, and I know you do this with emails, you do this with any type of subscriptions you have, whatever, and you're in there, and you see something that catches your eye, and you go, oh, wait a minute, let me click on that and check that out, or whatever. And so if that can say, because as a single technician, I don't have time to sit there and peruse the internet and figure out all the stuff that's going on out there. So 9 times out of 10, somebody will bring something to me and go, hey, did you hear about this? And I go, no. Really? No, because I'm working on stuff. I don't have time to sit on the internet all day long.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and to that point, I guess kind of like swinging back to the story for just one last touch. One thing that we asked people was how often they went to Tech Portal, and we found that about a third of the users actually keep it up as a dashboard in their shop all day long.
Oh.
And yeah, and so we were really happy with that. I mean, that's a huge compliment.
Sure.
And so Tech News is part of that, and so I imagine that one of those was you, maybe, Jeff?
Oh, probably. I don't know. I just answer the surveys.
Sure.
No, I want everything. No.
Yeah.
No, even from my standpoint, I'm a very simple user. I use the tool and it works, and I do what I need to do. Quite honestly, for my customers, which are mostly residential, they don't really need reports. If they were to ask me for a report, I would probably fall over dead. But from that standpoint, it's kind of like, but I still peruse through them myself, after I'm done and just see, okay, what went on, what can I look at, and so it is a benefit. It's not something that I would share with the customer. So it's definitely more of a benefit to me, I think.
Yeah. And it seems like there's two camps there. One where the tech will just always print it out, hand it off to the customer, even if they don't understand it, and hand it off as a proof of labor almost. And then the other camp is I'm going to read over this and I will relay the kind of parsed information essentially to the customer. And yeah, people seem to fall into either of those two buckets and don't really oscillate between the two.
Yeah, I just tell the customer, it's fixed, isn't it?
Right.
It's working.
Right.
Isn't that why you brought it to me?
Right. One of the funny things too. Sorry, I keep throwing these anecdotes out, but one thing that we got a constant request for with the reports was the ability to customize them a little bit. So we added some features in to kind of pull information out and add information in. But it turned out one of the most important things that we removed was the duration of the report, because it turns out that a lot of the reports were taking 15 minutes, something like that, and then of course that however much you were able to charge your customer for 15 minutes of work, had a kind of a negative effect if they showed it. So by pulling off that information, it seemed like it made a few more time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why for me, even if it's a 15-minute fix, I don't call the customer back for another 4 hours.
Yeah. There's a protocol. There's a protocol.
So I want to ask. I know Michael probably said he wouldn't have much to say because he's just the support guy. But Michael, what types of things are you hearing from the customer base that maybe people would find interesting for maybe the direction that direction, not necessarily problems, but just direction that people are looking at in their businesses? Because I'm sure you get a lot of that information. I'm sure it's more than just a support role. I would imagine you hear the stories and different things on a regular basis.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one thing that I've been hearing a lot recently with our users over the phone is that they work with the elderly, that they service elderly clients. And when Kabuto first came out, it was very recently after I got hired, and part of the feedback were people saying like, well, my customers can just email me. That's, we get along fine, email communication. And, part of Kabuto, it's absolute simplest functionality was the request form. Your users can send a request to you. They're saying, well, it's just email. I can do that. But just in the last couple of weeks, I've been hearing about all these users who have very elderly clients who email might be a little bit of a struggle for them, and so that's just really interesting to me. Like how convenience is a big issue for techs and just everybody in general, and anything that you can make even slightly more convenient ends up adding up and having some kind of value. To where I wouldn't, whereas before I might have been prone to agree with them with like, yeah, that's true. This is just one step saving you from like logging into AOL or whatever to send an email. Now I kind of realize that, well, that's actually important for some people and makes things, it's worth it. It's worth using it for them, especially if they're very old. And especially if they have a problem with their email, and that's why they need to get your attention.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's funny you say that because there are a lot of people, and we say the elderly community, and there's a lot of people out there. You look at the baby boomers right now, and they're probably still the biggest demographic, and they need help with their basic day-to-day computer needs as far as, hey, how do I email my kids? How do I get on Skype? All these different things. And if we can make it any easier for them to get their computer fixed instead of waiting to the point where, hey, I can't get online, it'll give them that alert ahead of time. So that's very interesting that a lot of people are seeing the elderly community actually using some of those things. So cool.
Michael, you never told us that in our last team meeting. That's pretty cool.
Now, see? I just bring these things out, man. It's just what I do. I pull it out. No. Now I want to hear from the quiet developers over there that maybe not aren't saying anything. So walk us through what your day looks like. What do you do on a regular basis besides sit behind a computer and typing away?
That's about it. Just typing all day.
So Connor he's working with the customers ahead of us, figuring out what features to implement, and he's actually creating mock-up screenshots of the next features. So what the computer dashboard should look like next month, and I have a list of the screenshots and details about how to how this new features are supposed to work, and I just take the first screenshot and look at what the Kabuto looks like now, and basically just try to make it match. It's
just go A to B.
Yeah. Just work through the code, work through all the technical details, but it's been a huge relief since he's started doing that work. Because I'm not a designer,
You're the back-end guy.
I'm the back-end guy. I don't really. It's not my forte to spend time figuring out how is the customer going to interact with this page. So for me, it's great for Connor to be able to say, this is how the customer wants to interact with your page. You make the page behave correctly.
So it's nice to have specifications.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a new process, relatively. Compared to the history of our company. That's definitely a new workflow.
Development process has changed a bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Connor, now do you actually do you pull out a bar napkin and kind of draw it up and say, hey guys, can you make this look like this? Or
yeah, that's how it starts. So
it's
Adobe bar napkin. Yeah. And I don't appreciate the insinuation that I'm always at the bar, but
I cannot tell what happens in places like Chicago or elsewhere, but hey, whatever.
But I mean the part that Eric didn't mention, of course, is I'm handing him something and I'm saying, hey man, shoot for the stars, let's make this happen, and there's a moonshot goal in there, and then he's the one who's kind of like tinkering it down and saying, no, do we need this, do we need this, do we need this, no, and so it's working collaboratively that allows us to actually make a good product versus one that would take a year to release and gargantuan amounts of back-end work and so on and so forth. So that's the other part, because I come to the table asking too much. That's the inherent assumption.
Well, we have the ultimate gatekeeper is the absent developer, Steven, pretty much always. As soon as we're about to start working on something, goes, does this really need to happen? I can't tell you how many unreleased things we probably have because Steven asks, does this need to exist?
Right, and even before I go to the developers, I'll work with Ian. I'll work with I'll pull one developer to the side and ask them, okay, do we need this? And try and work out the minimum viable product for that feature. And even after all that, I still somehow bring way too much to the table. So it's good. It's always this kind of teamwork thing going on.
A lot of my day is sending screenshots to Connor, and Connor saying, no, tweak this, and I'll send him another screenshot, and he says, no, tweak this. I actually live about a 3-hour drive from here, so this is my 3 days a month that I'm visiting these guys. So it was nice. It was nice today to be able to just say, hey, Connor, stand right here while I make some tweaks, and you get immediate feedback from him.
Yeah. Feedback loop got a lot better.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys have talked about how you work so well together, and it seems like you guys are doing an excellent job. Again, you're dealing with little things at a time and not trying to do these big gargantuan things, but at the same time, you've got these dreams and goals, which is good. Now, is there any time where all of a sudden the table flips out of the way and it's just like a WWF brawl in the room?
So you're talking about our Mondays? No. I honestly, it's been a surprisingly, really great experience.
Surprisingly.
Yeah. Well, surprisingly.
No, I think we have really good team chemistry, and we operate in such a way that's we're a very flat organization, so nobody's anybody's boss, and so everybody has a say. Everybody. They make that joke.
Right.
So everybody has a say in their own responsibilities, and there's a lot of overlap, and we all work very well together. And sometimes people feel strongly about one thing or another. Usually, Garrett feels pretty strongly about certain things and things that they either should or shouldn't happen. And Garrett called Steven the gatekeeper, but.
That's not true.
It's not really true. Most of the time, we bring an idea to Garrett, and his mentality is to shoot holes in it until it doesn't exist anymore, which is good because a lot of the time he's right. So we get a better product because of that.
Built more bulletproof products.
Yeah.
Essentially, if we were in a reality show, we would have been canceled after the pilot episode because there's not really any drama.
Right. Yeah.
It'd be a boring show.
Yeah.
That drama is it's all inferred. They make that stuff up. So.
Yeah. Well, that makes me feel a little bit better about my life. Thank you.
So where do you guys see, as far as, obviously, and we've heard from Ian, I think, Ian, you were on about a month ago, we've heard from you talking about total rewrite of TechWaru and some of the different things you're doing, and the things you're adding on to Kabuto, and any one of you can speak to this, but where do you guys see, your products going here in the near future, or even far-fetched future, maybe, HoloLens, people are fixing PCs virtually, I don't know, virtual reality, grabbing things out of the air, who knows. But where do you guys see your product going in, as far as your development and in different things that you're doing?
I can start from a high level. Basically, we're rewriting TechWaru. It's going to be incredible and amazing. And then we're continually making Kabuto better. It will. And basically, the near future goal is, after the rewrite of TechWaru and then the improvements of Kabuto, the integration of the two so that you can use them cohesively, and think that summation of functionality will be pretty amazing.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But that was just marketing speak, so.
Well, yeah. No, that's perfect. I'd just like to point out why we were chuckling earlier a bit when Max, you said that C3PO is going to be awesome. it is going to be awesome. But Garrett rolled his eyes because when Max and I and Connor and Ian and I, when the business team says stuff like that, you know, the dev team is going like, okay, well, you guys are setting the bar really high. Thank you for doing that, for setting everyone's expectations super high.
This harkens back to a email blast that I put out without really checking with anyone, saying that Kabuto managed antivirus would be available at the beginning of the year, and then Steven and Garrett were like, okay. Well, I didn't know that, but I guess that's the timeline.
Didn't it come out in March?
And you guys moved, I mean, I know Kabuto, again, Ian, you and I have talked before, in Kabuto, stuff always takes longer than what you say. You know, my wife laughs at me still today because if I'm working on a project and I go, hey, hon, it's just going to be 2 hours, she goes, so you mean 4, right?
Yeah, right, yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's just the way it is. But you guys have done an amazing job moving forward, keeping it going. And I think it's good to have those personalities in there that go, hey, listen, this is a great goal, and it's something great to shoot for, but we might need to take some baby steps in between here and there before we jump into this full bore. So,
definitely.
Do you want to talk from a technical perspective about why we decided to rewrite TechSuite and what is going to be cool about it?
Yeah. So what made TechWire work really well was that it was one of Visual Basic that it was written in was one of the last languages that didn't require .NET. Right? .NET is a framework that should hopefully exist on most Windows computers. And
Now.
But it mostly just ran on library files that existed on the system, and that made it work across everything, which was great. But then at the same time, it's a fairly old language, so there was just a lot of handicapping involved to give that ability. And now we're at a point where XP isn't 25% of the user base anymore, like it was 2 years ago, which is a whole other story. And we have the ability to use newer stuff that can operate on .NET because most computers should have .NET on them. So just we can do things like make it faster, make the UI look like it's from this century, make it more stable, and just do a lot of cool things that we couldn't do before. Not to mention that because it's from the ground up, there's a lot of things that Connor has heard complaints of, I'm sure, and now Michael, that he's our customer service guy. There's a lot of core features that techs always really want to be improved that we just couldn't improve because of the limitations. So now things like command line functionality or working via other types of drives, whether it be like local network drives or in portable environments or whatever, we can, because we're working from the ground up, we can try to support those from the foundation rather than trying to add it in later. Optimization,
stability,
and
all that.
Yeah, stability is one of the bigger ones. We're aiming to be much more stable with our tools, trying to improve the reports a bit. I know it's one of people's favorite features already, but we're going to try and outdo ourselves.
No more feature-length novels. Trying to make them more readable, more information.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Hopefully they won't be 1 million pages long now.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
We're calling it SparkNotes.
Yeah, so we just get a lot of benefit from doing a total rewrite, and we get to focus on all those things when people call and say, like, it's great, but like this is what I really want. And so because we get to do it from the base, we get to focus on those things, and I think it's turning out pretty well in that regard.
All right,
Yeah.
Garrett, I'm going to ask you an unfair question.
Yeah.
When do you see this actually happening?
Oh. What was the date you promised? Will that ask? It was 45 days or something.
No comment.
No comment.
Soon.
We're getting close to beta. One of the side effects of trying to talk to our customers and get to know what they want, and does this look good? Is this easy to use? Would you want this? Would you want that? Is that it takes time. Connor has to call those people or do emails, get surveys, process it, come up with ideas, then take those back and ask them again. And so the cost of that is that it takes longer, but then the benefit is that
people get what they want on the first try or the first couple tries, hopefully. And so yeah, so I mean, I would obviously, ideally, I would have had it done by now, but because we're doing this newer process, I think it's going to take a little bit longer. But we're getting close to a beta, I think, where we can give it to people and they can try it out and tell us how amazing it is, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, let's be fair. Your guys' product, you know, and I've told Ian this before, and he knows it. You know, when it first started, it was interesting, and you know, just to be fair, but to the point that it's gotten to now with the team that's come together and the way you guys are putting it together, it is just, I mean, it's amazing for the things that it can do and do well. And I'll be honest with you, and I know stability is always one of those issues. And Ian said this before, is that, okay, listen, we're trying to take something that's broke, being a computer, laptop, desktop, whatever, software-wise, and we're trying to fix everything that's broke. And like I told him, the problem is, and I think this is where Kabuto helps, the problem is people will not bring me their computer until Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Safari, and something else doesn't work. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, all 4 of these browsers don't work. I can't get on the internet. So can you fix this? And I look at it and I go, oh my gosh. I said, how long has this been this slow?
Yeah.
Oh, it's been like that for like 8 months. Are you crazy? I would rather stick a fork in my eye than use this thing. But people do it all the time. So
I think
it definitely helps us.
That's one of our more common interactions, I think, is Connor over here will have a really cool idea, and he's like, this would look really cool, can you do this? And I'm like, I could do it, but then on a healthy computer that would look great, but on a broken computer I don't that would take like 10 minutes to load or something. Like, we always have to remind ourselves that the software that's going to go is going to be on a potentially a slow computer, either maybe a computer that doesn't have that much RAM, so it can't maybe process things, or it'll take a really long time. Maybe something that doesn't have a whole lot of space on it, et cetera, et cetera. It's like something that we have to keep ourselves in check on, because we've been writing programs, developers obviously, for a very long time, almost never for a broken computer, right? Almost always for like a project or a server or whatever. So like reminding yourself that you're writing something on something that's probably not going to be running efficiently is a difficult thought process.
So we're not ever going to see anything like 3D Aero Glass or any of that type of thing in the product.
Yeah, no markup languagey looking things probably. No deep animations.
No Siri.
Yeah, no voice control.
Nothing that can sit there and throw bugs out at the screen or something while it's.
We don't like bugs.
Yeah, really. One interesting thing you said though, but yeah, how far TechWire has come into what it looks like now is what. We took something that could just fix computers, and then we wanted to change it into what like the core principle of REPAIRTECH would be, which is automating and making things more efficient and whatnot. And so one of the, probably in my opinion, one of the best solutions to come out of rewriting it is that we're not working towards automation anymore. We're starting it to be automated, and then we will add complex things on top of that, hopefully, that are easy to understand.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest things, is that people oftentimes they want tools that are 100% automated, and because TechWire has so many things in it, not everything is automated, and also because of the older technology, we don't have the ability to automate a lot of the things we would like to. So with this new rewrite, we're able to start with only the best tools and only the tools that we know we can automate, and the end result is you're going to get a way more efficient repair process in general that is going to be more effective also.
Okay. No, that's great. I again, kudos to you guys for all the things you guys are doing. You brought one of the other things too, and I quite honestly, I really didn't see this coming when you first brought Kabuto out. Ian, again, we were talking, you brought this to me, you said, oh yeah, we're going to do managed antivirus. And again, I went, really? Because you're already going on this other route with Kabuto and the things that were going on there. But what a perfect way to bring that next level up for people to be able to use it in a functional way, because again, I've heard from many different people that and I cannot believe this still happens today, there are technicians out there that are telling people in businesses and otherwise not to run any type of antivirus because it slows the machine down. And I'm like going, are you nuts? You know, here's the thing. Yeah, okay, if you're going to drive a car, you need to wear your seatbelt, right? Not because you plan on getting in an accident, but in case. It's not like you plan on going on the internet and getting a crypto locker virus, but it happens. And so it boggles my mind to see people out there actually giving the misinformation. So you guys are able to tie those tools in, and again, MCSoft is one of those companies that everybody right now loves, and it seems to work well with many different variations of computers, young and old, and people are finding it very well. So have you guys found, and I'm sure you found the integration so far to people's liking and ease of use and all that kind of stuff? Or are people real happy with having that on board?
Yeah, I mean, Michael, maybe you want to talk about that. You talk to customers more than any of us.
Yeah, can you maybe repeat the question one more time?
Basically, when you guys brought MCSoft on board and integrated it with Kabuto, what's kind of the feedback that people are giving you? Is ease of use still there? Do they like how it works, and is it working for them for their customer base?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say for sure. I mean, when I was first introduced to MCSoft and started learning about it, one thing that I saw over and over again was that it didn't use a lot of computer resources, just like you were saying. That's a reason that some people recommend against any antivirus. So I read that a bunch of times, and I put MCSoft on my machine, but there's what I'm saying is I have heard no complaints about MCSoft slowing down systems, and I kind of expected to hear at least some. So okay. I take that to be a really good sign. I've heard people say all the time that, oh, MCSoft has found a bunch of stuff that Malwarebytes, that this and that nothing else has picked up. So that's a really good sign.
Right.
One thing is that MCSoft, as far as I know, doesn't advertise at all. So some of our users who want to resell this, and obviously we want them to do that too, have expressed some like, okay, well, how do I do that? Because it's not Kaspersky and it's not AVG, and this business that I'm going into with this plan, they've never heard of MCSoft. So what do I do about that? And to that, I don't really have a strong answer. So I think that as REPAIRTECH and MCSoft is an issue. Just the name brand mentality.
I've got an answer for that. If I'm going in and I'm going into my dentist and he's going to pull a tooth, and the dentist goes, hey, why are you in here working on my computer when I could do this no problem. Say, you know what, doc? Sit down in the chair and let me pull out your tooth, and we'll see what happens. No, you called me because I'm the expert in
right.
what I'm recommending. I'm not going to recommend anything that's going to cause me more work. So it's to both of our mutual benefits that what I say I can support and what's going to best protect you. Now, nothing's 100%, but this is the best case scenario we can to protect you from all these things that you need to be protected from, and because whether office workers or different things like that. So, yeah, again, why are you hiring me if I'm not the expert?
That's a good point. That was something that Garrett kind of mentioned right after I mentioned the duration on the reports. Or no, actually it was Justin. Justin mentioned it. The main thing that techs are selling isn't necessarily their time. It's their expertise and their knowledge, and that comes with a guarantee of quality, and that's the main thing for sure. Definitely agree.
And I think what Michael was saying was basically MCSoft is what we would call a channel friendly. In other words, they're not advertising to the customers themselves. They're going through different channels, whether it be through you guys or other resellers, in getting that product out there so that nobody can come in and go, hey, just renew, in which most of the vendors, for whatever reason, seem, even though they have channel partner programs, they seem that seems to be okay for them. Well, at least they renewed. But yeah, but I lost the small chunk of pie that was there, and that's kind of frustrating. So I was going to say, so as far as you guys, is there anything else at this point that we haven't talked about that you guys want to bring to the forefront that people would want to know about at this point? Maybe some questions I haven't thought of, or regale us with some stories of, how this all came about, or whatever, anything like that.
Sure. Well, we do have something new that we're going to launch soon.
Another thing?
It's not software.
It's not software, though. It's kind of fun for us because it's not software.
It's fun for all of us.
Oh, okay.
It's just Max and I working on it. You want to talk about it, or you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, basically we've realized that there is definitely a need for some more marketing information, and techs need a little bit of guidance in the marketing world for a variety of reasons, but one is a lack of time. You have a lot of work to do every day, and you don't have the time necessarily or the energy at the end of the day to now think, okay, how am I going to boost my business? What can I do to bring in more foot traffic, or how can I, start a new email campaign, or whatever it might be. So we're trying to develop kind of a bundle of ebooks, or one giant marketing kit. We're still trying to decide on a name, but to talk about essential kind of core marketing practices that a repair shop needs to implement or can implement to boost revenue and business.
Yeah, basically a package that will help them grow their business, and then resources that go along with those pieces of advice that they can use to just get started. Because a lot of, like Max said, the shops have issues not necessarily understanding which strategies to use, but just getting started using them because they're short on time. So we wanted to give them, number one, the advice, but then also a head start so that it wasn't as much of a pain. So that's something that Max and I are working on, and hopefully that will be available soon, but I will take Garrett's advice and not tell you when.
No, that sounds good, because I will tell you that as a technician myself, and I can speak for all technicians worldwide, is that we suck at marketing. It's just bottom line. It's not just time. It's paralysis by analysis, right? There's so many things out there, so many different ways to contact the customer, and people say, get on this social network and do this thing and do that, and you look at it and you go, yeah, I'm going to watch Game of Thrones, forget that. But,
Yeah.
no, that's awesome, because I think if you can come up with something that the average person can look at and go, yes, I can implement that, and it's already formatted, it's put together for me, and we can get it out to my customer base, and that makes it very simple for me and doesn't take a whole lot of time for me to be able to do that. Kind of like the way Kabuto is, the person can contact you, or if you're monitoring them, you'll get an alert when something goes down on their computer. Ease of use, and that's really what it comes down to. So I think that's awesome. So, you guys just keep morphing in doing different things, and now you say it's not software, so that kind of makes you happy. Explain why that is.
Because then Garrett doesn't have to do anything for it.
Yeah, I mean, our developers are
Busy.
very busy and work a lot. So it's fun for Max and I to, number one, be able to actually build a product, because I haven't been doing that for a long time. It's never a good idea when I start building a product.
And I can't code, so I've never been able to do it.
Right. So it's fun that we get to work on the product directly rather than indirectly, and also cool that they don't have to. So I would say those are the two. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think Garrett just is excited that he doesn't have another list of tasks.
Yeah.
Well, and I understand, Garrett, I mean, he's got to deal with Windows, so I get it. And you probably are all rocking, MacBooks and stuff like that, so you guys probably don't even, other than on work, you probably don't use PCs, do you?
Well, no, there's several PCs. I mean, a lot of the developers. We have
Everything.
Linux. Yeah, Linux PC. We have a good variety.
Connor didn't want to answer that question directly. He uses a MacBook. We have a fair distribution, but Connor uses a MacBook.
I've been running exclusively Ubuntu since 2010.
Yeah. I'm rocking Fortran. Pretty rad.
That's Max's. Max. That doesn't even make sense. First of all.
You're right.
Well, no, Max doesn't even know what that means, does he?
No, he's the king of Techno Babylon. He just kind of says stuff. He knows the words and they kind of make sense, but they don't really. And he just says them.
We do need to make a book or a calendar.
He picks stuff up by listening to us talk and then says stuff out of context that doesn't make any sense most of the time.
Yeah, shoot, I do that all the time. Why do you think I'm so popular?
Something that makes sense.
Yeah, we'll be like,
Wait a minute. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, that was amazing.
I have a question for you, Jeff. So
Yes.
behind you, I see Vader and General Grievous.
Yes.
So that makes me wonder if you are one with the dark side.
Of course, that's the only way to be, right? Actually, Luke Skywalker's over to my far right. He's not in view, so there wasn't enough room. And quite honestly, as far as those Bionicle type Legos, General Grievous and Darth Vader look better, so that's why they're over there.
Nice.
Actually, what I was going to do, and I have not had a chance to do this yet, but see the white spot on my wall? I'm going to get one of these days the decal version of Han Solo in carbonite.
Oh, nice.
Fix it right there. So Darth Vader will be sitting right next to him. It'll be perfect.
Yeah.
We need a straw hat flag behind this.
Yeah, maybe a couple that's in the front.
Yeah. I mean, let me just say though, the positioning couldn't be better because they're sitting on your shoulders,
Yeah,
right?
they
They're
look like
whispering
little
into your ear.
guardian.
Yeah, except you don't have an angel. They're just both evil people.
Oh, so here's a little inside secret. So when I was placing my camera, and people will find this funny, I would imagine. When I was placing my camera, I actually made it so that my head was centered as best as possible in between them. So it actually was on purpose. You know, I didn't want to be over here, blocking that one over here, blocking this one.
It looks good.
So.
Success, yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you guys wanted to cover? Again, you guys are just going on, and I'm sure next month we're going to see, I don't know, virtual reality, you know, kicking viruses out. I don't know, some sort of game maybe. Who knows? But is there anything else that you guys wanted to cover before we end today's episode off?
I mean, I think I'd like to just say that we're all incredibly thankful to the tech community for staying with us and believing in what we're doing.
Helping us.
Yeah.
Shape our product every day.
Kabuto definitely wouldn't exist without customer customer feedback and feature requests, but
patience.
Yeah. But from where we started when we first launched, we've definitely kind of come into a new world where people, when we see Kabuto being talked about on forums, it's like we have positive advocates that are answering questions for us, where a few years ago it was like, oh man, how do we respond to this complaint about how crappy TechWater is? So yeah, we just want to say thanks to all the techs out there who kind of get what we're doing and appreciate what we've been working on.
It's really exciting to me to see all the forum posts and just how active our forum has become. I remember when we first started, we had a forum. We're like, guys, come on, use it, and no one used it.
There was like a cricket with a keyboard.
Yeah, and now I get several emails a day. With new forums.
Oh, that's awesome.
Responses.
No, you got like I said, you guys have done a phenomenal job of, I think, also staying inside the tech community and actually coming down to the level of being able to help people out. And I think that's what makes the difference. You're in the trenches with people, and that's what people will remember. And I think that's what's most important. Because, again, and I'm not going to name any names, there are companies out there that I've seen start something and get the tech community around them. They build the product up to a certain point, and then all of a sudden, hey, we're too busy for you. We're on to something else. And I see that happen more often than not, and I applaud you guys on keeping it simple, keeping it down in grassroots where people can use it, talk to you, get a better understanding of the product and how it works. And not only that, getting some insight from many other techs on how to use a product, how it's working best for them. So great job there. If there's nothing else, if you guys would, Ian, if you want to do this, tell people where they can go to find out about these great products.
Yeah, sure. They can check us out at repairtechsolutions.com, or they can email Michael at support@repairtechsolutions.com, and he will help you out.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys coming out today. It's been exciting to meet everyone. It's been exciting to sit down and just hear what goes on behind closed doors, which to me is one of the most fascinating things about doing this show, is you get to see what other companies and what other technicians and businesses are doing on a regular basis that you don't normally hear about. So appreciate that.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, thank you.
No problem. If you would, if you'd like to feature your product or service on this show, you can send an email to podnutz@podnutz.com. And I want to thank everyone for listening and subscribing to the show. We'll see you next time on Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast. And it's